I just finished importing my photos into Lightroom. And so in order to publish our set of ISO pictures, we're going to actually do two things. So the first thing I want to do is just export them the way that we normally do. So I'm just going to click on the first photo here, and then using the shift key, I'm going to click on the last photo of my 9. And then with those selected, I'm going to go ahead and export them the normal way. So I've got mine going to the desktop, so I'm going to go ahead and specify the folder that I want, choose the folder. And let's see, I don't have a Weebly Uploads on my desktop, so let's go Weebly Upload and create and choose. And then over here, it's going to be putting that into a subfolder, and I've called the subfolder ISO. So it's going to go inside of Weebly Uploads and then into ISO. And then before we export, let's make sure this is at 100%. And I'm going to go ahead and resize to fit, and I've got 2000 by 2000 so that I've got enough quality so that it looks good on the phone. And so I'll go ahead and hit export. Let's see, I think we also did sharpen for screen standard. Okay, export. So that's just like we've been exporting for all of our other assignments. Then the thing that I want us to do that's a little bit different is go ahead and double click on one of the photos, and you'll notice if we're at this resolution, when I click on these other ones, I can't really see a big difference between them, right? They're going to actually all look okay. The thing is, the way that it's displaying, it's not really showing all of the pixels right now. So it's actually throwing out some of the information. And so it makes it a little bit harder to see when am I actually starting to pick up some noise. So in this highest one, we might see a little bit of a difference kind of if we look in these areas over here. But at that resolution, it's a little bit hard to tell what's happening. So what we want to do is actually zoom in a little bit. So there's a couple ways we can do that. On the keyboard, if I just hit Z, that will zoom in. And then if I hit Z again, it zooms back out. Up here, we're talking about this little section up here, which is called the navigator. So if I go to fill, it will then fill the frame. If I click on 1:1, that shows all the pixels. So this is at 100% resolution. So it's showing all of the 6,000 pixels, 1 pixel per the display of the screen. What I'm going to have you guys do is actually go to this one that says 3:1 and look at a small cross section of the picture at that point. So we're just going to be looking kind of at a smaller little section of our image. And what I want to see is as it transitions from the sharp area kind of to the blurry area here. If it's too tight, you could instead decide to switch to 2:1 instead of 3:1. That might give you a little bit more space to be able to see. It depends on how close you are to your object. I was pretty close because it's pretty small because this is an egg. But once we're zoomed in here, we should be able to really start to see the difference between the ISO 100 and then the extreme, which is the ISO 25,600. So, and then if we look at each of the subsequent ones, it's going to get a little bit more of the noise. I mean, even here, this is at 800. This one is 1600. We're barely even, if we look really closely, we might be starting to see a tiny bit of that noise in here, but it's still pretty, still pretty low. So once you've got a kind of a framed area that kind of a cross section of what you want to look at, start with the first one, and then you're going to do a screenshot. So you're going to make a screenshot by holding down the shift key and then the command key, which is next to the space bar, and then on the keyboard you're going to hit the number 3. So shift, command, and 3 all at one time. So shift and command and 3. That will then make a screenshot. Now the screenshot, you're not going to see anything happen on the computer, but when you minimize this window, it's going to be on the desktop. So When I minimize, I already took the screenshots earlier to post to the web, but you can see here, here's all of my screenshots, right? So once you have the first one done, then you'll just move to the second image. Try to keep the framing the same. If it's moved a little bit, it's okay. And then again, Shift Command 3. If you have the headphones on or it's unplugged, you should hear kind of a clicking sound like it's taking a picture. And so just move through those relatively quickly. Shift Command 3, another screenshot, next one, Shift Command 3, and so on until you've got all of them screenshot. And then post those as well. So then, because we'll be in a lot tighter, we'll be able to really start to look in and see how much noise is being added, that random variation of color that's being added as we crank up the ISO to make it more and more sensitive to light. Okay, so publish both of those, then take a couple of minutes and write a few sentences, little paragraph, just explaining what you observed, right? We're looking at, where did I first notice the appearance of the noise? At what point did it feel like the noise became so much that it was starting to really deteriorate the image? In the future, kind of what would my range be where I can safely use these ISOs with knowing that it's not going to really affect the quality of the image? And then where is that range of image area that if I really had to and it was so dark and I needed a faster shutter speed, I could use these, but knowing that I'm going to end up with this as far as my kind of that texture and quality is going to deteriorate if I need to use that high of an ISO. All right, and then post both of those. Make sure you hit publish so that I can see it.